Toldot. In this lesson on the Torah portion Toldot, we learn about how the word Toldot can mean genealogies or stories. We will learn about how in the generations that lead to Messiah, just how important the matriarchs are. We will learn about the connection between Ya'akov and Esav, and what that connection means in respect to today's world and the end times. The name of this week's Torah portion comes from the word for the generations. As it says in the beginning of this Torah portion, Genesis 25 verse 19, "And these are the generations of Yitzhak, Avraham's son. Avraham begot Yitzhak." The Torah uses the word Toldot to relate to someone's genealogy, but not just that. It also relates the word Toldot to the stories of the people in the genealogy. For example, the Toldot of Yitzhak tells the story of Yitzhak and his offspring, Ya'akov and Esav. In this way, Genesis 25 verse 19 could also be translated as, "And these are the stories of Yitzhak." Bible genealogy is important because it records the line of Messiah. The sages looked to the Toldot in the Torah to find hints about the Messiah. The stories of the forefathers lay down the foundations for the story of Messiah, because the Messiah is the goal of their genealogy. As stated in the Hasidic commentary, Rokeach al HaTorah in Yalchut Moshiach ve'Geula al HaTorah, all the genealogies and generations are for David and the Messiah. The book of Matthew starts with the words, "This is the genealogy of Yeshua, the Messiah, son of David, son of Avraham." Matthew traces the lineage of Yeshua all the way back to Avraham. Unlike most genealogies in the Bible, Matthew includes the names of certain women, Tamar, Rahab, Ruth, Bathsheba, and Miriam, the mother of Yeshua. The commentators have several ideas as to why the names of these women were included. But one thing is for sure, the very fact that Matthew included the names of these women shows that the maternity of the Messiah matters. Rabbinic literature doesn't pay too much attention to the mother of Messiah, but there are a few interesting mentions. The most famous one appears in the Jerusalem Talmud. In the legend of the name of Messiah is Menachem, and he is born the day of the temple's destruction. Rabbi Yudan, the son of Rabbi Aivu, said, "An incident happened to a certain Jew who was standing and plowing his field. His ox lowered before him. An Arab passing by heard the sound of the ox and said, 'Son of Yehuda, son of Yehuda, untie your ox, unfasten your plow, for the temple has just been destroyed.' The ox lowed a second time, and the Arab said, 'Son of Yehuda, Jew, tie your ox and fasten your plow. The king Messiah has been born.' The Jew asked him, 'What is his name?' The Arab answered, 'Menachem.' He asked him, 'What is his father's name?' The Arab answered, 'Hezekiah.' He asked him, 'From where is he?' He answered, 'From the Berat Malcha of the Bethlehem of Yehudah.' He went and sold his ox and plow and became a seller of infants' clothing. He went from town to town until he came to that place. All the women bought clothes from him for their babies, but the mother of Menachem did not. He heard the women saying, 'Mother of Menachem, come buy clothes for your son.' She said, 'I wish to strangle enemies of Israel.' For on the day on which he was born, the temple was destroyed. The man said to her, 'We can be sure that if the temple was destroyed because of his coming, it will be rebuilt with his coming.' Then she said to him, 'I have not a penny.' He said to her, 'What does that matter to me? Come and buy for him. If you have no money today, I will return and get it another day.' Several days later he returned to that town and asked her, 'How is your baby doing now?' She answered, 'Since you last saw me, winds and storms came and snatched him from my hands.'" The timing of this legend and the birth of Messiah taking place at the end of the Second Temple period, is consistent with the timing of Yeshua of Nazareth, him being active in Judea during the last generation before the destruction of the temple. The legend depicts the birth of Messiah with the destruction of the temple, and the reappearing of Messiah with the rebuilding of the temple, the same things we depict the birth of Yeshua and his return with. In addition to all this, the legend has a striking similarity to Revelations 12 verse 5. She gave birth to a son, a male child, the one who will rule all the nations with the staff of iron. But her child was snatched up to God and his throne. In both the legend and the verse of Revelations, the mother of Messiah symbolizes the people of Israel. In the Talmudic legend, the destruction of the temple leaves the nation too distraught to rejoice in the birth of her son. So much so, she resents him. Israel is the mother of the Messiah. How much more so are the matriarchs, the mothers of Israel, mothers of Messiah. In Genesis 25 verse 23 it says, "And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy body. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger." The Targum says the children fought in her womb like men doing battle. When Rivka went to ask God why the twins in her womb were fighting, God told her that there were 2 nations in her womb. The Midrash states that the 2 nations refer to the kingdom of the son of David and the kingdom of Edom. It also says that the nation of Israel, the younger, will prevail over Edom, the older, in the days of the Messiah, just as David's kingdom prevailed over the Edomites. Yeshua sometimes used the term "this world" as a way of referring to the Roman Empire, the kingdom of this world. In John 18 verse 36, he told Pilate, "My kingdom is not of this world." He referred to Satan as the ruler of this world, as it says in John 12 verse 31, "Now judgment is upon this world, and the ruler of this world will be cast out." The sages also had a way of referring to the Roman Empire, the people of Edom. This is probably derived from Psalms 137 verse 7, in which the Edomites are connected with the destruction of Yerushalmi. "Remember, O Lord, against the people of Edom, the day of Yerushalayim's fall. How they cried, 'Tear it down, raze it to the ground.'" The Roman Empire was a satanic counterfeit of the Messianic kingdom. The Romans brought all known nations into servitude and enforced Pax Romana, a kingdom of peace. The Roman emperor acted as a false Messiah, as it says in 2 Thessalonians 2 verse 3 and 4. The son of destruction, who opposes and exalts himself above every so-called God or object of worship. In view of the sages and Yeshua's view of the Roman Empire, the battle between Ya'akov and Esav can be likened to the battle between the kingdom of the light and the kingdom of darkness. When Messiah comes, the older, the Roman Empire, shall serve the younger, the kingdom of heaven. Yaakov's name comes from the same root as the word heel, and points back to the verse in Genesis where God says that the seed of the serpent will bruise the heel of the seed of the woman. The seed of the woman is the Messiah. In Psalms 89 verse 52, it talks about the heels of Messiah. "Your enemies have reproached, O Lord. They have reproached the heels of your Messiah." The rabbis understood that the heels of Messiah meant the final generation that will see the coming of Messiah. The heels of the Messiah can be translated a different way, the footsteps of the Messiah. When things seem darkest, we should listen for the footsteps of Messiah, as it says in the Mishnah. "In the footsteps of the Messiah, insolence will increase, and the cost of living will go up greatly. The vine will yield its fruit, but wine will be expensive. The government will turn to heresy, and there will be no one to rebuke. The meeting place of scholars will be used for licentiousness. The Galilee will be destroyed. The Goblan will be desolated. And the dwellers on the frontier will go out begging from place to place without anyone to take pity on them. The wisdom of the learned will rot. Fears of sin will be despised, and the truth will be lacking. Youths will put old men to shame. The old will stand up in the presence of the young. For son spurns father, daughter rises up against mother, daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. A man's own household are his enemies. Micah 7, verse 6. The face of the generation will be like the face of a dog. A son will not feel ashamed before his father. Upon whom shall we depend? Upon our Father who is in heaven. The life of Ya'akov and his struggle with Esav are a precursor to the trials and tribulations that the people of Israel will have to endure before the coming of Messiah. In Toldot, this week's Torah portion, we learned about how the word Toldot can mean genealogies or stories. We learned just how important the matriarchs are in the generations that lead to the Messiah. We learned about the connection between Ya'akov and Esav, what that connection means in respect to today's world, and what that connection means in respect to the coming of Messiah.